Okay, in this lesson, I'm just basically building on what we learned in the previous lesson, how to multiply polynomials. So yesterday, the biggest polynomials we multiplied was a binomial times a binomial. So I'm just going to show you a few different ways you can multiply. So this example is a binomial times a trinomial. So I'm just going to basically go over 3 different ways you could multiply. So the first way is just using distributive property. But in this case, we are distributing 2 things. So 3x squared times 5x squared, remember we multiply the coefficients, so 15, and then we add our exponent, so x squared and x squared is x to the 4th. And then we're going to do 3x squared times 4x, so 3 times 4 is 12, so plus 12, and then x squared times x to the 1st, that's x cubed. And the last one is 3x squared times negative 7, that's going to be negative 21, and then we have x squared, and then we're going to distribute the negative 7 to each term, so negative 7 times 5 is negative 35 x squared, negative 7 times 4x, that's negative 28x, and negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. Once you distribute, then you can combine like terms. So to write it in standard form, I would start with the highest degree exponent. So in looking at all of our terms, the highest exponent is to the 4th power, and there is only one term, so 15x to the 4th. I'm just going to cross it out to keep track of what I've already added. The next one is x cubed, and there's only one x cubed term, so that's going to be plus 12x cubed. And then we're going to add together our x squared terms, so that's negative 21 and negative 35. That's negative 53x squared. And then I have my x term, so minus 28x, and then plus 49. So using distributive property, that's one way you can multiply polynomials. Sorry, I just realized I did this one wrong and don't feel like going back and re-recording. This shouldn't be negative 53, that should be negative 56. So this should actually be negative 56x squared. So this is kind of a good example of why you should be careful when multiplying. There's lots of different ways you could make mistakes. You could make mistakes with adding, you can make mistakes with combining like terms, you can make mistakes with multiplying, so you should always go back and double check your work. So this should be the answer, 15x to the 4th plus 12x cubed minus 56x squared minus 28x plus 49. Alright, so I'm going to show a couple other ways that you could multiply. So I'm going to show the box method for this U-try. So the box method, we make our box. So since we're multiplying a binomial times a trinomial, we need a 2 by 3 box. So this is x squared plus 4, and across the top we have x squared plus 4x minus 3. And then we're going to go ahead and multiply. So in this box, this first box, we have x squared times x squared, that's x to the 4th. And then we're going to do x squared times 4x, that's going to be 4x to the 3rd. And then we have x squared times negative 3, that's negative 3x squared. And then we're going to go down to the second row. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. 4x times 4 is 16x. And negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Once we do that, now we're going to combine like terms. So starting with my highest degree, we have x to the 4th. The next highest is x cubed, so plus 4x cubed. Then we have x squared, so that's this term here and this term, so that's 4x squared and negative 3x squared. That's 1x squared. And then we have 16x, so plus 16x, and then minus 12. There's our final answer. Alright, there's one more way you can multiply, and I didn't go over this in the video yesterday, but this one might be helpful for some of you. You can basically multiply this the same way you would multiply 2 3-digit numbers. So we're going to stack them, so 2x squared minus 5x plus 3, and then we're going to multiply by 5x squared plus 3x minus 9. So the way that we would multiply a 3-digit number, we're going to basically do it the same way. So first we're going to do negative 9 times all of these and write them out, and then we're going to go 3x times all of these, And then we're going to do 5x squared times all of these, and then we're going to combine like terms. So the reason I like doing this is because you can easily stack your like terms and it makes it easier to combine. So negative 9 times 3 is negative 27. Negative 9 times negative 5x, that's positive 45x. And then negative 9 times 2x squared, that's going to be negative 18x squared. Okay, the next terms we are going to do, we're going to multiply the 3x. So 3x times 3, that's 9x. So I'm going to write that under the 45x. So that's positive 9x. 3x times negative 5, that's negative 15x squared. 3x times 2x squared is 6x cubed. All right, and then now we're going to do the last number, so the 5x squared. So 5x squared times 3, that's 15x squared. 5x squared times negative 5x, that's negative 25x cubed. And then 5x squared times 2x squared, that's going to be 10x to the 4th power. So as you can see here, all of our like terms are stacked, and it's easy just to add straight down. Okay, so starting with our highest degree exponent, we have 10x to the 4th. Okay, I'm just going to cross them out so we know. And then x cubed terms, we have a 6 and a negative 25, so that's going to be negative 19x cubed. Next one, we have our x squared terms. Well, these 15x's basically just cancel each other out, so I'm just left with negative 18x squared. And then I have 45 plus 9, so that's 54x. And the last thing I have is the negative 27. So this method might be one that some of you might prefer, but really when multiplying polynomials, I don't really care which method you choose to use. Honestly, the one that I see the least mistakes is the box method. What's nice about the box method is it kind of keeps it all contained in one area, whereas these ones, you kind of end up with a bunch of terms all over the place. All right, so now I'm going to go over a couple practice problems. So starting with number 5. I'm going to use the box method for this one. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and use, box method because it takes up the least amount of space. So I'm multiplying a binomial times a trinomial, so I need a 2 by 3 box. This is 7n minus 6, and this is 3n squared plus 2n plus 6. Okay, now we're going to multiply. So 21n cubed. If it helps you on the variables with no exponent, it is helpful to maybe just put a 1. Now we're going to do 7n times 2n, that's plus 14n squared. 7n times 6 is 42n. And then going on to the second row, negative 6 times 3n squared is negative 18n squared. 2n times negative 6 is negative 12n. And then 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. From here, we're going to combine like terms. So starting with the highest degree exponent, we have 21n cubed. And then we have, these are like terms, so 14 and negative 18, that makes negative 4n squared. Then we have these like terms, 42 and negative 12, so that's plus 30n. And then I have negative 36. All right, and then number 9, we have a trinomial times a trinomial. So I'll go ahead and use distributive property on this one. I'll kind of show you how you can stack your like terms just like we did for number 2 on the U-try. So with number 9, we're going to distribute here. So first we're going to distribute our 7n squared term. So 7n squared times 5n squared, that's 35n to the 4th. And then our next term, 7n squared times negative 8n. 7 times negative 8 is negative 56. And then we have n cubed. 7n times 1 is plus 7n squared. And now, starting with our second term, we're going to do 7n times 5n squared. So I'm going to go drop down to the next line. So 7 times 5 is 35, and then we have n cubed. So plus 35n cubed. And then 7n times negative 8. 7 times 8 is negative 56. So negative 56n squared. And then 7n times 1 is plus 7n. And then lastly, we have our last term here. So 6 times 5 is 30n squared. 6 times negative 8 is negative 48n. And then we have 6 times 1 is plus 6. So just like the one we did before, all of our like terms are stacked. And now we can basically just add straight down. So starting with our highest degree exponent, we have 35n to the 4th. And then we have negative 56 and positive 35n cubed. That's going to be negative 21n cubed. And then adding straight down here, so 7 and negative 56 and 30. That's going to give us negative 19n squared. And then we have 7n and negative 48, so that's going to be negative 41n. And then lastly, we have plus 6. And there's our final answer.